Right. So everybody take a nice big deep breath and let it all go. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. Amen. All right. So just to let you know, I'll send you the prayers that we said and a couple other things. So, oh, thank you, Mary Ann. Go ahead. Go ahead. Either way. Yeah, go for it.
Helene, sorry. He's Andrew. And I'm Ryan.
Right, spell your name, right?
B-R-I.
Oh, okay. What's it short for?
Brianna.
Oh.
Mary Ann. Anita.
Jim.
Beata.
That's a pretty name, Brian.
Beata.
That's beautiful.
No.
Shelley.
Brian.
Caroline. Rose.
All right. You've been officially introduced. All right. So last week we worked on a workbook, well, actually two workbook lessons. One is I can be hurt by nothing but my thoughts. And the second one was I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. And, whether we like it or not, Jesus is really trying to help us understand if you're holding a thought, doesn't matter if it's for love or for the opposite of love, it is your thought. And if you're holding a thought of the ego, it is always going to cause you pain and suffering. It can't not, because you're coming from the mind of separation when that occurs. Now, we're not asked to feel guilty about that when we become aware of that's what we're up to, but we are being asked to become aware of that. Because as we become more and more aware of the fact that if I'm holding ego thoughts, I can't possibly be holding thoughts of love, because these two thought systems are mutually exclusive. There's nowhere where they touch in any way, shape, or form. And that really pushes the envelope of spirituality from most other spiritualities out there, because they kind of mix them and put them together and whatever. And this course is very mutually exclusive. And he is literally trying to help us understand, and I'll read this from the first lesson. If ever I am sad or hurt or ill, or any other adjective you want to add there, I have forgotten what you think, in other words, what God thinks, and put my little meaningless ideas in place of where your thoughts belong and where they are. So what's the problem? The problem is I have put my meaningless thoughts in front of God's thoughts. And that's across the board, no matter what's going on in your world. And that's like way too much for us to take in, digest, and live right now. And that's the facts. And again, as I said, we're being asked to, at least for where we are now, to begin to become aware of how frequently my thoughts are in front of God's thoughts. Because God's thoughts are pure, unadulterated love, connection, and oneness. So duality doesn't live in his thought system. And that's a full-time job, guys, because it's all the time. But once again, we're not asked to judge the fact that that's where I'm living. We're asked to observe, and without judgment, hopefully, where I am. Because if I can stay here, look at myself in relationship to the world, and watch myself act like a good little ego and not judge it, I'm not feeding it. Versus when I play the part of the character, I judge and attack my brother, and then I feel guilty because I judged and attacked my brother, and the cycle just continues to go around and around and around and around. But that sounds easy in the nice circle here where I'm not doing anything, nobody's poking me or shoving me or whatever. But the moment we walk out into the world, bam, we're back to where we always were. And once again, Jesus knows that's where we're going to be. And actually, I think I will read the second workbook lesson, which is workbook 284, because I think it's such a beautiful lesson in the respect of Jesus. Miriam, would you help her? Because she's probably not familiar. 284 in the workbook lesson. Yeah.
That's
Um,
the page or the left.
Workbook lesson 284.
Okay.
Said to observe how often we have thoughts of our own.
Of any thoughts that aren't 100% love. And this is not asking us to, take I have a negative thought, let me replace it with a positive thought. This is observe what the popcorn in your head is churning without judging it or condemning it.
But you're not replacing.
No,
thought.
this is not about replacing the thought. No.
So conversely, if you are utterly miserable, you need to see that it's because of your own thoughts.
That's exactly what Jesus is saying. Yeah.
So that's what breeds misery and suffering.
This just a tiny, so I can see your face. Yeah, peekaboo, right. Yeah, yeah. And truly this is extreme compared to the average way we look at life, because we normally think, oh, I'm a good person 98% of the time, once in a while I lose it, which that's our experience. But this is going so much deeper. This is saying if you've chosen for separation, you are going to have, and I know you can't see it that well from here, hate, form, void, emptiness, illusion, uncertainty, dread, death, time, special relationships, fear, intense pain. That's what's going to come when we chose this. And we all chose this collectively. And we've been playing in this arena since the Big Bang. So we're now being asked to look at, of course, a good little separated son in the world is going to come from one of those not so lovely places. And I can sit here and say, I'm love, I'm love, I'm love, I'm love, all I want. But if that thought system is the thought system that's engaged, I will automatically respond from that place. It's a no-brainer.
So your misery becomes a trigger for, well, I guess it's a trigger. I can just listening to other people's miseries a lot last year was about how, why did this happen to me? Why? I was just getting started in another kind of part of my life, and now this happened.
Yep.
And so that's how you look at, I mean, I remember this, so there's so much time spent in that other place about that. So you keep trying to get to the bottom of it. So how, and even in politics, well, how did this happen? And you go through all those steps of like trying to find, you have all the steps all written down, but you don't ever really get to a feeling of not so much peace as just resolution about anything. Is how then to think that it's because of what I'm thinking about is kind of far out initially. How could it be? I mean, so why am I thinking, well, why wouldn't I think that when it's all around me? And then you have to slowly ask for the other thought system to come along.
But it's not about what's around you.
Right.
It's your own thoughts that you're
Correct.
But I
miserable.
give
Don't push it
everything
off
all
on
the
anybody
meaning
else.
it has. I give everything all the meaning it has.
And if I'm aligned with the ego, what the meaning it has is duality.
But how it's another thought system instead of all the crap going on is again goes with your chart with all the stuff going on, and then he says nothing happened.
It shows separation.
Yes. And so that's the challenge of this course, I think, is to keep asking, how is that possible?
Yeah, and along with Andrea's comment about asking why, I think that's well, since you're an infant saying, Mommy, why is the sky blue or whatever, that's the universal question. And to me, it's like being lost in the forest and sitting on the stump saying, I'm not going to leave this stump until somebody tells me why I got here. Or you can get up and start moving. And the course is saying, let's get up and start moving because this isn't working for you. And, it seems like if I could only know why, it would be the catalyst to move me forward. Right. And Jesus specifically says, you're needing to know is literally just part of the trick of staying in the illusion as well. Yep.
It's a pretty strong stick.
Oh, whew.
You know, people, very educated people, people who have their PhDs and all these other things, they haven't a clue what's happening in their life at this point.
Correct.
After all those years of what's really, who they are, why they got here, who they ever were, what's
Yep.
happening. It's very,
They're as lost as you are.
it's very sticky.
Yeah.
Yeah, very sticky is a good, well, and I really love the idea of sticky because it's so prevalent throughout the course. We're so stuck to this thought system that just to pull it away in order to really look at what's the dynamics behind it, it takes a lot because we're just addicted to responding the same old way that we've always responded, and with a legitimate reason to do so on top of that. Because I know, and you know, that other person's on the other side of the game. And just like a football game, when you're playing that game, everybody on the other team's your enemy. But if you rise above the battleground and realize both of you are just on opposite sides trying to figure out how to do this, and the answer is rising above the battleground, not trying to find out who's right in the battle.
Like you said, you go have a cup of coffee with the guys after
After the play
game,
that you
and
just, yep,
that's-
exactly.
That's who you really are. You're just players in this.
We're just players,
thing.
yes. And I think it's an adorable little statement that says, at the end of the chess game, all the pieces go back into the box. So simple, and yet pretty much what it's all about. And at the same time, we have to respect if I'm still playing one side of that game, that's where I am right now, and not to judge that. I'm not ready to let go of the place of being in a dualistic experience because ultimately I'm terrified of oneness right now. So that's not something to judge or attack yourself about either. But as we keep asking and coming with empty hands and say, help me to know who I really am, we are opening the door to that awareness of who we are. Not as Marianne, but as Marianne who said, I want that door open. All right, so workbook lesson 284. I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. Okay, so I'm just going to stop there. So I can elect, so in other words, it's my choice to change all thoughts that hurt. Nowhere in that line does it say, I have to wait till Rose does something different so that I will feel better. Nowhere does it say that anywhere in the course. In fact, the course specifically states that it is for us to accept atonement for ourselves. And how many times and how many ways do we think, oh, if only they, it, them, that, whatever would do something different, then I could be okay. And the answer to that is not in the Course of Miracles. Maybe other, spiritualities that's practiced, but not in the Course of Miracles. All right, so what I normally do is read the paragraph and then I'll go through it line by line. Loss is not lost when properly perceived. Pain is impossible. There is no grief with any cause at all. And suffering of any kind is nothing but a dream. This is the truth. At first to be but said and then repeated many times, and next to be accepted as but purely true, with many reservations. Then to be considered seriously more, and finally accepted as the truth. I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt, and I would go beyond these words today and past all reservations and arrive at full acceptance of the truth in them. So real quickly, what does truth mean in the Course? And what the truth means in the Course is nothing happened. We're at home in the love of God, and everything else that appears to come in the way in front of that is the dream or the illusion, which has really no effect on who I am. Well, that's delightful, but am I at a place where I can freely just drop all of my attachments to everything, everyone, including and especially to this adorable little creature called me? And the answer is probably not right now. And that's why Jesus invites us to use the concept of the little willingness to ask in this moment with empty hands, I don't know, help me. And it's not asking us to climb to the top of the mountain before we're ready to climb to the mountain, but it is asking us to be willing to come to the point where I am willing. And if you have the awareness, sometimes you'll get little whisperings. Let's say you're having an argument with somebody and you'll have a little whispering in your ear that says, you could choose love instead of this. And you kind of look at the scenario and you go, nah, I don't think so. Not today. I'll call me later. Call me later. But at least even in that moment, the awareness that there's another choice is very prevalent in your mind, as opposed to before where this happened and I respond and, kill or be killed, back and forth and back and forth, where there was absolutely no other awareness that there was an answer beyond this. Now I'm recognizing we've chosen for this. We're very addicted to this, and that kind of runs the show. But when I'm ready, this answer is available at this instant. I don't have to wait. I don't have to go anywhere. That answer is available when I open my heart to understanding what that is. Yes.
I mean that in reading this, I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. So the question comes up immediately. So how do I do that? How do I do that? But the other question that comes is an acquired question, is the same question. Only you say, God, help me. How do I do that? What does he mean by that? What could this possibly mean?
Right.
So I'm just interested how that's the same question, but you have a different mindset about, and not like, being angry. And I mean, at first I think we are angry about it.
We should be.
I can do that. I think maybe that's the first question. And then finally, it's like, well, if this is using God as our power, then if that's the most powerful energy in the world, then this is where I'm going to find out how to do that.
See, you have the power, and the power is living within you.
Okay, but
It's not, what can I get to help me do this?
But it's the you that you're talking about that is changing when you're saying that question.
Right.
The you that's asking that first question is the ego being very angry, and that's the you. Okay, I mean, we're using the word you, but we're talking about two different
Aspect, right, usages, right.
different versions of you. It's you as the son of God who's, or you as the schmuck that's the ego that's trying to get,
You think the
somebody's
ego's
neck
gonna
about
give
it.
you the right answer?
No, they're gonna wring your neck about it. You're gonna be still wondering. So those are the two, the word is you, but it's used in two different ways as far as I can
The
see.
you is the sleeping son of God.
Yes.
Reading.
And Andrea mentioned the idea of angry at God. Well, the first, one of the lines in the course is that we asked a special favor of God. And that special favor was, tell me it's okay that I separated. And God cannot tell you it's okay that you separated because he doesn't know you separated. And we aren't too happy about that. And we remain not too happy about that. And that's, that's the way it goes down. But the ultimate answer is Jesus is saying, not that I don't want to support you over here, but nothing happened. You're at home in heaven. Why do you keep playing in this arena that's the opposite of what you are? And tell me how wonderful it is when it's not wonderful because you left all the love and connection behind when you did that. And he's not judging or attacking or pointing a finger or saying, come home immediately. He's simply sitting there waiting patiently for us to make that choice.
Marianne,
I'll
if
get you.
God knows everything, how does he not know we're here?
God knows everything that is true.
This isn't true.
This is not true.
We're not
Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists.
There's a lesson that says,
So think of
literally,
it as
there is
you
no
have a
world.
child and the child's having a nightmare.
Right.
Are
That's
you,
exactly what I was
do
gonna
you
say.
know the nightmare? Are you aware of the nightmare? All you know is that your child's upset. but you have no idea what's going on in that mind because it's an illusion, and she's dreaming.
Right.
She's
It's not
dreaming.
real.
She's having an illusion.
Right, I understand all that, and I understand everything we're talking about. There's just this little thought, because we like to complicate things, is if God is all-knowing and knows everything,
But God doesn't know what's not real.
It's not,
That's the point.
there's not right, there's
That's no
nothing,
different than saying, why does God let this, that, and the other happen? It doesn't happen.
there's
So
nothing
God's not
right.
letting it happen. It's our
Never
perception
happened.
and our projection of you putting our thoughts into the world, or in a person, or an event, or
I
whatever it
understand all
is.
that too. There's just this lingering. There's this
Well, I like your first sentence, there's nothing to know. How can he know nothing?
And again, that's a hard-reaching concept to fully embrace.
No,
Well, we don't want,
Well, we don't want to, right, I
realize that
understand.
this is nothing. This
This
is
is what would
nothing.
exist, so that's what we base our.
That's why
our
we have a
reaction.
hard time with it, because we're so,
Addicted to it.
lifetime
addicted
after
to this.
lifetime, man.
Yeah, you got it, buddy.
It's not that easy to turn the ship, yeah, it really isn't.
That's why God can't.
That is why God can't help you. Yeah, because there's nothing to do. The only answer is nothing happened. And why, how could he, what good would it do for him to fix anything here when it's not there? It's not real. Only this is real.
And he would.
That
have
would
the
be-
same mind as we are as our ego selves. I mean, if he were trying to fix the problems on the left.
He's trying to fix the nothing.
exactly, which
No.
would make him as
Good.
sane as
Yep.
we are.
Exactly. And initially most people, when they start, that's where they start, but that they eventually come to the realization for God to know what I'm doing would make God part of the illusion, and it's not. Yeah,
To make God like us instead
That's right.
of
yeah,
like trying to make
Yeah, why
God.
can't he be like us?
yeah, yeah. Oh, boy. Wouldn't that be exciting, right?
Trying to do that one too.
Put him on the cross.
Yeah,
God in the Bible.
yeah.
But I think that when we get kind of caught up in problems and worrying about other people and having differences with other people, that's a good time to like look at what is that triggering in me? What's the belief that
Absolutely.
I'm triggering?
Yes.
I can't help but remember when I can't used to come years and years ago, my son was going through a really difficult time. And I was just obsessed by like, if he would just get a job, everything would be okay. If he would just get a job. And when, after this group one time, it's like, it hit me like, that's just a thought.
Mm.
That's just a thought I keep having is he needs to get a job. And it was like a belief. I'm like, I could just let that go. Like, 'cause that what was caused, it wasn't really whether he's having a job or not.
Right.
It was the thought, and belief I had that he had to have a job. And it really.
And
changed
that
things.
would make it magically be better.
Exactly.
That
Yeah,
energy
right.
spent and those lost sleep hours he's not even thought
But
about.
that was my belief.
Right, you were
He had to have
projecting
a job,
that.
And I just let that go. And actually, when I let that go was when he kind of started.
Of course.
But it's just like those things trigger you, what are your beliefs that are getting in the way? So
Yeah.
kind of making note of those
Right.
difficult things.
Yes.
And those difficult people,
Right.
what are they triggering
Right.
in you?
And also look at the patterns, because each one of us have our own specific little irritations that we spend a lot of time on, and we're not even aware we're spending a lot of time on them. And I'm sure when you were going through that process with your son, that thought went over and over and over and over in your mind. And that's how this ego mind works. And we're not even aware of how much time and energy we put to one specific thing by that constant repetition in our head. And any of those moments could be, all right, help. I don't know how to help. I don't know what the answer is for my brother. I don't know what the answer is for me.
All one as well, we're all one, and I'm having that thought, if only he did this, and you wake up with that thought in your mind, then we're all one, and you are making that into the issue. And somehow it's filtering down, just like the atonement filters into a better quality of life for all around, or a better quality of spirit. That's how the thought filters down into, oh shit, I'm not doing it right. And how everybody around you feels like something's missing, you're upset, you're sad, you're miserable, you don't want to say what it is. And so you're holding on to that. for your son too. You don't really
Yep.
know, that's the hard part.
Right.
You're holding on to that for everybody involved. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's the whole thing, right? That's how devastating,
Yes.
our thoughts can be.
Yes.
And
About,
she doesn't even know what her son's path
Nope.
is.
Nope.
It's hers that
And when
she's
I
gotta
let go,
do.
when I started to really let go, he went in a whole different direction, but that was his
Certainly.
path, and he's now like super successful and has his own
Nice.
business.
right,
But that is not the path I would have chosen for him, but that was his path, and it
Yeah.
still is.
Right.
yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of coming with totally empty hands.
You got it.
I don't know what's best for me, and I certainly don't know what's best for somebody else, but if I can put it into that place of, I don't know, help, then you're releasing yourself and that person or that situation, which is a gift to the world. All right, so loss is not lost when properly perceived. So basically what Jesus is speaking here is if we understand what our experience of loss represents, we wouldn't think of it as a problem. But because we're looking at through the lens of my little ego and what it's getting me and why can't it get fixed the way I want it to, we will perceive that as something horrible. All right, pain is impossible. Wow, I like that one. And look at your world. What's going on?
Yeah, but that's in the mind,
Exactly.
okay?
Exactly. But the point being is right now, I don't care where it is, it's always painful.
Well,
And
yeah,
that's
the
not the
dream
answer.
is
Right.
painful.
Exactly. Yes. And in the dream, it will always be
That's
painful.
right, till you realize
Yes.
the dream isn't the answer.
No, no.
Flip it.
You know, one of the simplest things that he gave us right in the beginning is at the end of chapter 5, when you realize if you're upset for any reason, any silly reason,
Mhm.
it's yours. I must
Always.
have decided wrongly.
Yep.
Because I alone am not at peace.
Yep.
I made it, but I have another choice if I want it.
Exactly.
And that is so simple to incorporate into our lives
If we're willing.
if we're willing. However, we think we have all the answers
Mhm.
in the beginning.
Yep.
We think we know, but
Exactly.
we don't know squat.
Yep. And we want to continue to be the one that knows.
Right.
Yes, to put down all the stories is not the easiest thing in the world initially because
No,
we're so
they're
addicted to them.
stories.
Yep. All right, so there is no grief with any cause at all. So what he means is when we choose for the Holy Spirit, the cause of the ego drops away because I'm no longer investing in the story of the ego. I'm now investing in the story of the Holy Spirit. So all causes of grief begin to fall away because I'm no longer, it's like an electric socket. If I put the prong in the wall, it's going to be whatever that, it turns on the computer. Well, when we put the prongs in the wall of the ego, I'm going to get ego here, guys. And it's going to automatically run through me no matter what I try to do personally as a good person or a bad person for that matter. The ego thought system is running me even if I think I'm a nice person.
Yeah, that's what really drove Bill nuts.
It drives us all nuts.
Well, but he came up with a question.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
gotta be another
There's
way,
got to be another way. Yeah.
you know, and most of us don't realize I've chosen the wrong teacher.
Yep.
That's the only reason.
But the question of there must be another way also opens the door to another possibility. And until we come to that place, we're going to continue our best to try to do it on our own, with all honesty of trying to do it the right way.
It's like what we grow up with, the idea of a spiritual path is like climbing the mountain
Mhm.
and, reaching heaven. And you get in here and it's more like mining. And you're mining.
Take a
time.
shovel.
And I think you're there and wait a minute.
Yeah, hold on here. We got a little more to go here. Right. Yeah.
Not a pleasant thought, but there it is.
Well, no, but at the same time, if we've been going the wrong way, doing it the wrong way since the Big Bang, and you finally get to the point where that's it, I can't do this on my own anymore.
And
The,
you grab one and you look at it and you gotta own it and you gotta let it go.
absolutely, until we do, it'll just keep coming around the corner and hit me in the face in another way.
It'll come in another disguise or sneak up
Exactly.
behind you.
Yeah, if you
Something
don't
like
let it
that. So
go.
deal with
You're
it.
not judging yourself.
No, yeah, this is, if
And
you
that's the
can,
answer.
Gentle with yourself.
gentle,
and
yes, yes,
look at it as
so
an
important.
opportunity To switch it, the
Yeah.
negative energy to better.
Yes,
That's what
exactly.
we're addicted to in total, judging.
Right,
Right.
We know
That's the
everything.
that's half the process, is just
Big
learning
time.
not to judge yourself and
Mm.
really being
right,
kind to yourself. And,
exactly.
you know, it's just, oh, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
Well, when you're judging me, you're saying, I know.
Yeah.
And Jesus says right in the beginning, you don't know anything.
Well, not
You don't
only,
even know your own best interest.
nope,
I never would have thought, I never would have said there's got to be another way. I would think that it's just how this is gonna be the way it is, the way it is, the way it is. I think finally my question was, I can't stand this anymore. I've had enough. I don't know what there is. I don't care what the way is, but I'm not doing that.
That's fine, you just said what.
well,
Bill's for.
and that's another way. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good. Yeah.
there.
I mean, I never would, that wasn't my question. My question was, what the hell's going on here? And you better
knows.
right now to help me because I don't know what to do.
What's going on is you're not at peace.
And
Bottom
I
line,
guess
you're not at peace.
I guess I got the answer to my question then. I got,
Right.
so you're right. This isn't working, you don't know, maybe there's,
Maybe there's another way to look at this.
I'm stuck and
Yep. And that's kind of a difficult place because in a way, it's sort of like we painted ourselves into the corner and it's like, I don't like being in this corner and I want out of here. And how do I do that? Yes.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Sure.
right, get me out of here. Yeah. Right. That
But you're
would
gonna-
have been my book.
But
Get
you're gonna
me-
get,
my
you
book-
are gonna get you out of here
Get me.
with the Holy Spirit.
Right. Yeah.
Bill.
Okay. So
Bill Thetford.
Bill Thetford and Helen Schuckman were the people that scribed this course together. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. All right, so line 4 is, and suffering of any kind is nothing but a dream. Amen, yeah. And
We dig in with that shovel.
yeah, and that's pretty all encompassing. And when it says suffering of any kind is nothing but a dream, I think as egos walking into the course, we often think, oh, well, something like 9/11, that was horrific. Okay, we all collectively kind of agreed that was horrific. But what this is literally saying is any time you are not completely at peace, where your peace cannot be destroyed in any way, shape, or form, you are experiencing suffering and pain. And that's like 99% of the time of our life existence on planet Earth. So as we begin to practice the course more and more, we become aware of how I'm not really at peace ever, or very, very, very seldom.
Like your description that there's no.
Hierarchy,
of
yep.
Peace, 9/11, where I broke my nail. Those are all
Yes,
loss of
yes,
pieces.
yes,
So we want to magnify this. because
correct.
We're losing our peace even with the smallest. thing, it's the
Absolutely.
Exact same.
Exactly. Yeah.
But with like 9/11, is it because we believe, I mean, because that did cause a lot of suffering,
Of course,
but it's because we believe that that we're all bodies.
right, of course,
If we
that's.
could understand that we're all spirit and we're all one with God and we never left God, if that was our
Right.
true
Nature. right?
nature and understanding,
Yeah.
then you wouldn't suffer.
Exactly, exactly, yeah,
Because that's a really good example.
right,
you
yeah.
know?
And, from the perspective of the Course, Jesus dying on the cross was not to show that he rose 3 days later. It was that no matter what they did or said or how they treated him, his mind was totally aligned with the right mind. So it didn't affect him. Well, most of the rest of us are probably not quite at that point yet, but that's, that to me is the mountain I want to climb. And that takes some undoing, but that's the one I want to get to. And again, suffering of any kind is nothing but a dream. So if I'm suffering, I'm aligned with the dream.
We push Jesus' love away.
And well, good point. And I have pushed Jesus' love away because when I'm choosing for this, I push this away and vice versa.
You're suffering.
All right, Jesus says, this is the truth, that nothing in the dream is real. Well, guess what? I'm in the dream and I think I'm real. And I think that horrible thing that happened to my loved one or whatever it may be is real. And so as we come with empty hands and we say, help, I don't know, I want to know your love. We are putting the story down for that instant and we're asking for a connection with his understanding of what love and connection is. All right, so he says, this is the truth, at first to be but said, and then repeated many times. And I'm going to stop there because when we originally start practicing the course, to me, it's like, I always tell people, it's like I'm an infant and Jesus puts this 20-pound steak in front of me and says, all right, kid, get to it. And it's like, we can't digest that. This is too overwhelming. There's too much information and it's diametrically opposed to everything I already believe. So it's going to take some process. And we know if you feed a baby, you don't stick a big forkful in, you give them a little tiny bit and then they spit half of it out. And that's exactly what we do. Or you take a bite and go, oh, wow, that's really good. Because we can't digest it. But as we keep doing it, we keep digesting it. We keep, growing and maturing and our teeth develop and we can eat a little bit more bites and whatnot. And eventually we will completely accept what truth is. But as he said, this is the truth. This is a dream. Doesn't feel like a dream, doesn't look like a dream, doesn't smell like a dream.
Well, it does show you're, in comparison with your nighttime dreams,
Well,
but
yeah,
you've woken up, you have
Yeah.
to wake up
yes,
from
yes,
this walking.
right. And that's always a good
And
parallel to become aware of. When you wake up from your dream at night, you think, oh, I woke
Well,
up and I'm glad
well,
that
we did.
wasn't real. And our daytime dream, we still think it's real. All right, so this is true, at first to be said, but then repeated many times. And next to be accepted as but partially true. And I kind of think of this paragraph with my experience of being introduced as a good little Catholic girl eventually to the concept of reincarnation. And at first it was like, oh, no, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. And eventually it would be like, oh, okay, there's some sense to that. And then it would be like, okay, I'll believe that about you, but not about me. And eventually I came to the awareness, of course, that's highly likely what's going on and it wasn't a threat anymore. But initially it's very much a threat and it's very uncomfortable. But as we keep, to me, it's almost like as we keep studying the course and understanding the concepts more and more, the old stuff that no longer serves us begins to just gently fall away. I don't have to fight it. I don't have to kick with it. I don't have to, I will scream because, it's so uncomfortable initially, but eventually it's like, it just falls away because it no longer serves me. And be very aware that the choice for separation not only has served me for what I wanted, and what I wanted as a separated son from God is I wanted to be an individual, special, and different, and right, of course. And whenever I want those above and beyond what the truth is, I will get that, and I will not get truth. And as I begin to, as Izzy Andrea was saying, you get to the point where you can't tolerate this pain any longer, and you throw your arms up and say, okay, what do you got, dude? And at that moment, you're literally saying, I don't know. I want the answer. And that answer will then come to you Why? Because we've asked for it. And we don't carry with us the past of the gunk of my insistence on being separated and what that entails. Yep.
If I'm home in the arms of Jesus.
Yes.
Happy as can be, why
Mhm.
am I even doing that?
Because you don't believe that. Well, but you don't believe that.
What was it?
She said, if I'm at home with Jesus, why are we doing any of the course? And I said, because you don't know who you are yet.
It still hurt.
I
It's a
still
dream,
hurt,
so
yeah.
why do I care?
Because it hurts.
But that's the dream.
It is the dream that you haven't woken up from.
So we have to wake up.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
We know it up here. but we don't
Correct,
know it.
correct, yes. And that is so true. In the progression of practicing the course, I can know it intellectually, but if my body's not with me every moment of the day living that, then I know it, but I don't know that I know that I know that I know it. Yeah, and that's the progression and the practice of the course.
And it's like every time I hurt,
Mhm.
I want to say, oh, it's like God waving to you or something. Come back, come back.
Yeah, and every moment that happens, you as an individual have the ability to say, okay, gonna hold God's hand instead of the thought system I'm holding on to.
I know that I don't want to hurt anymore,
Mhm.
okay? I
Yeah,
know
but
that.
that
I'm
is-
sorry.
Until you have that
Like
vicious
door,
hooks in it
like-
though.
Like Bill did.
What's the shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Mm-hmm.
We get pulled by that hook because
Of
the
course.
ego revolts like, no way, you're not gonna go that way. I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep you here.
Well, and it makes it sound like the ego is this identity, entity outside of me, but
No.
all the ego is what I've given it power to be. And I've given it a whole lot of power because I've invested in my thought system aligning with the ego. So even though that one little part of me goes, okay, help, which is fantastic, wonderful, and beyond belief that we've come to that place. But this is still, I like to think of it as a really tight rubber band. We're stuck with the ego and we pull apart and it snaps right back. I pull it back and it snaps back and we keep doing that. And eventually that rubber band is going to break. But how many times will I have to pull it back before it happens? But it will happen.
We got a lot of power if we only exercise it.
Mhm.
If you become still and look,
Mhm,
become still and look,
mhm.
you've got the power.
And the ego always seems to be one step ahead,
Mhm.
but you get used to some of the
Mhm,
tricks. so-
Well, to me, the more aware we be, right, the more aware we become, the less the tricks can be pulled on us. I like to think of ego as our evil twin. It knows absolutely everything about you and will use it against you.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is, it's my choice.
Well, it's my
for the
choice,
trick.
exactly, without
Nobody
question.
else.
Yes,
Well, that's where the choose again comes.
yeah, yeah.
Hit that block, choose again, hit that block, choose again.
I mean, that experience of separation
Mm.
is what you're feeling, is what you're sad about, is what you don't, that's the experience.
Ultimately, yep.
All your blocks.
Of separation, and then you're separate. Well, what do you separate? You're trying to separate your body from your spirit. You're all separate in your belief system. And then that's how it shows up in pain. And then that's when you have a chance to ask for help from the place where there isn't any pain, wherever that is.
Yeah. And, as Jesus constantly keeps telling us throughout the course, the gifts he's going to present to us when we continue to choose for him, they're the total opposite of the gifts the ego gives us. Totally the opposite. Let me just, okay, so when we're at one with God and understand there's only one throne, when God is on the throne, he gives us love and peace, eternity, oneness, joy, innocence, and we're all the same. The moment the Son of God had that tiny mad idea, as the Course speaks of it, and we said, gosh, I want to know what it would be like if I was on the throne. we had that experience. And that experience now was there's a me and there's a God. God's no longer my friend. He's my enemy because we're opposites. And along with that comes guilt, sin, fear, separation, projection, death, and we're all different.
Would special be a word on there too?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because,
Well, a special love, a special hate, but not, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's over here. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't put everybody, but the bottom line is when we left, we thought we were going to take God's love and joy and connection and peace and be God. It backfired because we left that back there and now we have all of these. Only we thought, oh, well, at least I get to be in charge until the pain becomes so unbearable and we can't tolerate it any longer. And then we have that moment of, all right, what do you got for me? But it's going to be a back and forth because we're extremely addicted to playing this game. And I like to think of it as, if you have a board game and half the pieces are missing and a little child goes to a garage sale and buys the game for 5 cents or whatever and makes up their own way of doing it. And they've been playing it that way a couple of years and somebody walks in and says, well, that's not how you play that game. These are the rules. Well, do you want to change? And the answer is heck no. Well, we don't want to change either. This is my experience. And every ounce of our thinking, our ears, our eyes, our emotions align with the belief system of the ego. And you don't just like scrape those off in one round and align completely with what truth is. So,
All false.
and they're all false. Well, that doesn't put me in a very good light at all. Yeah.
Right.
And so much of it, especially initially, I'm so deeply seated in the thought system of the ego. I don't even know I'm involved and enmeshed in it so deeply.
That's
As-
why you need to look and.
Well, that's
slow
why
down.
we need to
That's
keep
why you
looking.
Need to suffer.
Mhm.
The Holy Spirit is
No,
totally
you look at
opposite.
your suffering.
And the Holy Spirit's
But you
totally
can't-
opposite.
The suffering does that for you. It forces you to another choice or forces you to look at your suffering.
Your own choice.
But if you're
Yep.
special.
See, this is all bringing us back to self. Ain't about anything out there.
All right, so he says, and next to be accepted as but purely, I'm sorry, the wrong line. This is the truth. At first to be but said, and then repeated many times, and next to be accepted as but partly true with many reservations. So what he's saying is when we first start with a course, like that's kind of cockamamie stuff. What the heck are you talking about? I'm not this body, and this is all an illusion, and this is a dream, and I'm going to wake up someday, and I'm really at home in the love of God. What is he talking about? But as we hear it over and over and we begin to ask for healing more and more frequently, it starts to dawn on us that not only is what he's saying absolutely right on in truth, but I have the capability to align with that as I keep doing this. Then to be considered seriously more and more. So again, as we move forward in the course and the practice, it becomes more, I become more aligned with what it has to say. And finally, accepted as the truth. And throughout the course, Jesus says, truth is truth and false is false, period.
That's the simplicity of salvation.
Yes. And what is true? I'm aligned with God. What is false? Absolutely everything here that takes my peace away. And that's a whole lot of things. And so we're being asked to look at all the ways my peace is being disrupted, not just in big ways, but in subtle little irritations, because as the Course says, it doesn't matter. I can't remember what the exact quote, anybody got it? Slight irritation, yeah. Rage are all the same. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah, Helene, you had something.
It's puzzling to me that science has practically proven that we do not exist. You take a skin cell and you look at it in a
Right.
microscope and you keep looking and looking
Yep.
and looking, and you find that nothing is there.
Yep.
There,
It just isn't.
matter is
Made up.
matter of mind,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, but see, you don't believe
Right.
the scientists
Right.
and you don't believe Jesus. So it's our belief.
Mhm.
Feel the belief
Yeah.
and you're on your way.
We
Yeah.
think we're real.
Right. And we always, right, we always want, again, we want God to come down and accept us
Fix the
as the
world.
separated son.
So,
Yeah,
If
And-
he is insane as we are.
he
fix
would.
that.
Don't
Right.
step on the crack.
Yeah.
This-
And, right, at the same time, 98% of our existence on planet Earth evolves around this little character called me. You know, my pains, my suffering, you name it, the guilt, sin, and fear, they all rotate around this concept of me. And I'm not really ready to throw that away yet. And we need to honor and respect that.
You will when you're tired of
You
it.
will when you're tired of it. All right. So I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. So once again, he's reminding us it's in your hands. It's not in the world. It's not in anybody specific. It's not about any of that kind of thing. I can be at peace in this instant, no matter what's going on in my
I
world.
promise you.
Yeah.
That's the real world.
That's the real world.
Question, so
Sure.
intellectually.
No problem.
Just real quick, I have a client, I see her for 30 hours a week, so 7 hours a day. And she has dementia, she's only 71, very active physically. And she lives at home with her husband, he's her main caregiver. And, so I take her out to socialize and for respite. And, but she does not remember anything literally from like 2 seconds. And she's always from very young, she's had, terrible bouts of anxiety and depression. So that coupled with the dementia, it's nonstop for 7 hours a day. When are we going home? Where's Tom? What am I doing? And it's, she doesn't even listen to her questions.
Yeah.
It's and it's rapid fire, and you can't even answer her until she asks the next question. And I have her breathe, I have, so.
Right, so you can, right?
Reading the prayers that we got from, the world, or, the day of prayer the other day. I mean, I had her reading those aloud in the car, so we both hear them. I mean, I remember, that, hey, this could be me, in her situation. I've done what the ego probably thinks everything I can do.
Right.
And after 9 months of this, and it's only getting worse,
Sure.
harder, I'm about to give up.
Mhm.
And I have found myself, I've yelled at her before, and I'm
Sure.
very
Feel guilty
embarrassed
because you do it. Yep.
to say that. And you said you yelled?
Yelled at.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I couldn't hear. Yes, I've yelled.
Yep.
And, it's rough.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't know how to tie that into this.
Okay, well, understand, as you said, that could be me. First of all, we still look at the body and we're attached to the body. And again, not from a place of guilt. We're just observing this. There's a part of you that sees yourself as a body in her, that this could happen to you.
I do.
Right. And I'm sure there's probably a part of you that is constantly thinking this shouldn't be happening this way. And we don't know. And, to walk in when you're going to be with her, take a deep breath and say, I don't know. Okay, Holy Spirit, how can I be the most loving presence in this experience? Not as me, but as your love flowing through me. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And, again, sounds easy in the room, but we all have very intense experiences that are
Sure.
right in my face that are very challenging. Yeah. And at the same time, when we're holding her from our ego, we've got two people that have a problem. When you can stop and align with the Holy Spirit, then that's shifted. And she will either change if it's time for her to change, or you'll just be the representation of a change that's available.
You know, we are called human beings, but we really behave like human doings. So being the presence of love
Yes, is number one.
with someone else
Yes.
is what we are. That's what we have to bring to the table.
Yeah.
Our being.
Yes.
You
Yes.
believe.
I'm an end of life doula and
Oh,
I
okay.
do, hold space, but I
Right.
mean, and
It gets to be too much.
Yeah.
it's.
Breathe.
I wish it was also.
Yeah.
I heard,
You
yeah,
breathe.
It's getting hard.
much longer, whatever, I guess. Anyways.
Well,
Please.
yes, and you could be one of the only people on the planet that could sit with her in a new way that would make a big difference to both of you.
Well, this week I just started asking God. I've been reading. Well, I mean, I've just been asking, like, have me, just, to be with me, and show me what I need to do to be with her, and I've been
Beautiful.
asking for that, and because this was definitely the worst week it's ever been.
I think it's helpful to also practice knowing that she's a child of the
Right,
spirit. and
exactly.
She's not
Yes.
separate from God, to sit and
Right.
kind of meditate
Yeah.
on that, and she's part of, she's one with you
Yeah.
too. So kind of bringing her,
Oh, yes.
letting her come into your heart and
For
knowing that
sure.
you're all nobody's separate from God.
Right, absolutely, I mean.
And if she's gonna pass away, she'll be more pure spirit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just like, it's almost like,
Definitely.
it's an honor to
Yeah.
be with people. if
Both
that-
of those I need to hold more often, because I do, I mean, I know she's part of my soul family. I know I've had lives with her before, I can guarantee it. And, and yes, I mean, there's no, I constantly know that she's one with, of God. I mean, it's just like all of us, but I just.
It's still hard, I'm sure, on the
Yeah.
surface level, yeah.
And she's just really giving you the opportunity to hone your skills at
She is,
reconnecting.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what my
Let her be your
husband says,
teacher.
that's what my husband.
Let her be your teacher.
Yeah.
She should
that's-
give.
She is.
But at the same time, as
Chosen.
an ego-based human on planet Earth, it's hard work.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate
I was just thinking how I had a situation with a disabled young woman when I was young, and she had cerebral palsy.
it.
And so the continuous kind of same things that were happening in her body were kept manifesting. And I was young, I thought, well, I can help her, I can make her feel calm, I can heal her of cerebral palsy. But the fact is that her being on the planet was not for me to decide. And
Correct.
how, but I can appreciate the continuance of, having to do the same things day after day after
Yep,
day.
yep.
And that's how it's like, you can't even question it anymore. You have to just turn it over.
Relax and breathe.
But how that physical manifestation for her was her thing to do, and mine to help her through and I guess it's the same thing, because I was having judgments about, well, maybe if I do all these good things with her, I didn't take it that seriously, like where I, gave up, but, if I was doing all these good things with her, that would be enough to make it a different world. And the world didn't change, and that woman is still alive, and she's 76 years old now, and I've known her that long, but she's never changed, and her ability to do anything at all in the world, she can't feed herself, she can't use the bathroom, she can't.
Amazing.
She's never been able to do any of those things, and yet she got married and she has a son. And so it's just interesting, we don't know what the purpose is.
No,
And it's,
no.
I think that's.
But it's your belief that that person needs to change.
Right,
Why do they
exactly, yeah.
change?
Right, so, and that's so hard for me, because you see normal people, that was
Right.
the way it was, years ago as well, I think more so. You see normal people, quote unquote, and that's what, you're gonna try, and she herself tried to adhere to trying to be as normal as possible,
Sure.
and yet could not.
But she's perfectly made, my God, I mean, it's us, it's you, I judge, you don't mean to judge you. It's us judging
Yeah.
that there's something wrong with that person that needs to change, that's the problem.
Yep.
That's the problem. The problem is me.
That's our problem.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I guess, you know, that's really the part where they're asking you to give that up, you know.
Yeah.
So because in everyday life, we're doing that with every person we meet.
Exactly.
They should look different, they should be a
Yep.
different, you know, whatever. And yet it's, you know, on a daily basis of, you know, having that is true for all of us, except
Right.
you're with one person. The
Yeah,
rest of us are with the rest of the world, maybe. Everybody's messed up except us, or everybody's not getting it,
Right.
you know, when we talk, everybody's not getting it. But,
Yeah.
but it's,
Well, do you want to see it differently?
Yeah.
That's fair.
well, I
Yeah.
absolutely did, and I absolutely do.
And for me, the crux of the course is the forgiveness of the choice for the ego.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm accusing the other. I've lived with my brother the majority of my life, and he's developmentally disabled, and he talks constantly. And, you know, and a couple of awarenesses where that's what's going on in here,
Mhm.
is constant chatter. And it's also realizing that when I get angry with him, and I still get angry with him, it's just going to continue.
Hmm.
But I'm a lot lighter on myself, not that I still don't get, you know, upset with myself, but it's a lot easier now.
Mhm.
But I have realized that I'm pointing the finger at his choice for the ego, because I'm pointing it here at
Yeah.
my choice for the
Yeah.
ego. That's my lesson. Here I am again judging myself for choosing the ego. Hello?
Again. Yeah.
Because that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the only problem.
That's the only person. who
And you're
should.
you're gonna continue to do it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
The only person that's pinning me up on that cross is me.
Yep. I've got the hammer
God's
out.
not doing it.
Yep. Yep.
It's our life work.
It's our
It's
life
life-
work. Yes. Yeah.
And it's a work in progress. So just be gentle and, you know, just be aware. That's it. That's all the course is asking us to do.
Right. And also be very aware when you open your hands with nothing, you don't have an investment in what it's going to look like. That's none of our business. That's,
And-
I don't know.
Quite a few miracles,
Mhm.
not out here, in here, with that relationship. It's not perfect. It's not
Mm.
going to be, but you know,
There's shifts been happening.
definitely shifts.
Mhm.
Just keep asking.
Yep. All right, let's
You
quickly,
still have the willingness, and
right,
that's the key.
right. And you know, you can have the willingness one moment and not the next moment and then back again. And that's the progression of the process, and be just, there I am today and there I am. You know? Yeah. All right. So I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. And again, observe when I'm having thoughts that hurt me. And question, do I want to hold on to that one, or do I want to open my hands to his way of doing it?
And lesson 4 says, can only be heard
By me.
thoughts.
Yep,
I mean, you're coming back to the same place
always.
in so many different places.
Yep.
To
Yeah.
realize.
Yeah.
That in dealing with the Holy Spirit, you'll be guided in ways that truly comfort you.
Exactly.
That's a part that I become recognize more and more when I'm not, I wake up and when I'm not feeling like it. I'm like, oh, and I'm thinking of a little 4-year-old boy who's perfectly normal, but he asks questions over and over. It's the same little, intense thing about, how what's happening? What's my day? I had my cereal. I have to go to potty. Those kind of things. So like mundane and so like, so they're I notice more and more when I say, I wake up in the morning and I do my meditation and I ask, and I'm not comfortable exactly. And when I'm not that comfortable, I'm like, oh, let's see now. I guess I'll go and make my coffee and I'll listen to that. And then finally, it just somehow the Holy Spirit can erode that emotion. I get feeling more, I keep asking and then I feel it erode. And then when I get there, it's totally different from that negative charge I get in the morning. And I want to survive with this family. I love these people. I understand at a point in my life that I absolutely love these people. They love me. I love them. I know how to do it now. I had all these children in my house for years, and now these people are like, they respect me. They ask, they're very kind. And so I want to do it. I really want to do it.
You have the motivation.
We have this motivation. I really want to do it because this is who I am. I love this. And I've done it my whole life, and I'm not going to just, go to Florida or, figure out. I'm not going to do that. I feel like important, with God. I feel important with God. And so every ounce of me says, I want, help me. I just say, I'm going to do this. Help me. And when I get there, often sometimes she'll say, well, why don't you, I'm going to pick him up today early. Or, there's some kind of a reprieve around my work, my sadness or my upset. And so I found that the function of the meditation and of the desire is that I hold on to it more tightly than, oh shit, what's it going to be like today? And it's this fine line of, you want to say, well, I can't take this anymore. This is crazy. Now what they want me to, it's just like, this is our daily life.
And keep becoming aware of how quickly I can get hooked in, and then I can make that other choice if I want. Yep.
Because I don't want to be miserable.
I'm in.
I don't want, especially with this little child, I don't want to be miserable. And
so that's your motivation. Yep. Okay, we better take a break. We'll take a 10-minute break and we'll come back and play some more. Let's see, we got to turn that up. All right, so last couple of lines in paragraph 1, I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. And again, we're the ones that have that ability. God's not going to do it for us. Nobody else is going to do it for us. I have to make that choice that I want to connect with what is truth rather than what is false. And I would go beyond these words today and past all reservations and arrive at full acceptance of the truth in them. So again, Jesus in this paragraph is really trying to help us understand that he is extremely aware that you're not just going to walk in the door and poof, you're just going to understand everything the course is about and you'll be able to put it into practice the first moment and onward from there. It's going to be a process of understanding it intellectually, fully embracing it, and then eventually being able to live it in your life on a moment-to-moment basis. And keep remembering, I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. And when it says I elect, I have that choice. So paragraph 2, Father, what you have given cannot hurt, so grief and pain must be impossible. Let me not fail to trust in you today, accepting but the joyous as your gifts, accepting but the joyous as your truth. So, Father, what you have given cannot hurt. And I'm going to stop right there. So what God gave us in truth can never hurt because it is the alignment with oneness, which brings love and peace, eternity, Christ, innocence, and we're all the same. In this place, no hurt or pain or suffering can live. So grief and pain must be impossible. But as long as we choose to align with the separated state, we will experience the opposite of what God gave us. So if we're experiencing guilt, sin, or fear, or suffering, or pain, that's a red flag that says, I must have chosen wrongly. Don't use that and beat yourself over the head with it. Use that as, oh my gosh, that must mean I've aligned with the ego instead of the Holy Spirit, and I can do something about it now. Because I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. So grief and pain must be impossible. And he keeps telling us that over and over and over again. What is true is true. What is false is false. But what am I holding on to? Let me not fail to trust in you today. And when we begin to align with the Holy Spirit instead of the ego, that trust will continue to increase because we will have had the results of having those choices. And that doesn't mean that the world physically will necessarily change. It means I've changed my mind about the world. Let's see, let me not fail to trust in you today, accepting but the joyous as your gift, accepting but the joyous as the truth. And what God created is joyous. What the ego made, as the Course uses that terminology, is always a projection of separation, and it will never be joyous. Even if you have a few moments of having a good time in the world, that will falter in a few moments because that's not the joy that this is speaking of. All right, we are going to move to text 222, paragraph number 9. And we did read this through a little bit a couple weeks ago, but I just want to bring it back a little bit more. So 222, paragraph number 9.
Can you repeat what section? It's in the text.
It is in the text. Do you know what chapter?
Curriculum, chapter 12. The section's called the investment,
Okay, in reality.
investment in reality.
Then I'm working on it.
And paragraph number 9. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for helping her out there. All right, so the world you perceive is a world of separation. Perhaps you are willing to accept even death to deny your father. Yet he would not have it so, and so it is not so. You still cannot will against him, and that is why you have no control over the world you made. It is not a world of will because it is governed by the desire to be unlike God, and this desire is not will. The world you made is therefore totally chaotic, governed by arbitrary and senseless laws, and without meaning of any kind. For it is made out of what you do not want, projected from your mind because you are afraid of it. Yet this world is only in the mind of its maker, along with his real salvation. Do not believe it is outside of yourself, for only by recognizing where it is will you gain control over it. For you do have control over your mind, since the mind is the mechanism of decision. That's a mouthful. All right, so the world you perceive is a world of separation. And if you want to just use the word separation, you kind of toss that out there, but literally what that means is all the attributes of the separated state, which are guilt, sin, and fear, suffering, pain, duality, we're never the same, we're never on the same page, you name it, that's some form of separation. And when we've chosen for the ego, that's the result that's going to come. It's not because Mary Ann did something wrong as the separated son in the world. It's because of the thought system that set this into motion, of which we projected it into the world, and then we drew this delightful line that says, I will never remember where the real problem is, and I will play forever in this arena chasing my tail without an answer. And the Course comes along and provides the answer that will take us to a totally different experience. Perhaps you are willing to accept even death to deny your father. And you notice on the separated state or the illusion, the word death appears here because in truth, in oneness, it's eternal. In the separated state, there's a beginning, there's an end, and we call that end death. And in truth, since the illusion's not real, nothing about death is real either. And that sounds like a pretty you know, flat, curt kind of comment. But if we understand that nothing within the illusion is true, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't respect if you still are in pain because of a death of something, that you don't honor that space where you are. But can you keep inviting that you be shown what an experience without the attachment to death would be expressed as? Yet he would not have it so, and so it is not so. And where's that person? Because it always works that way. Yet he would not have it so, and so it is not so. In other words, nothing of the illusion is so. But if you're sitting on the throne with the belief system of the illusion, you will reap the effects of that choice. But God doesn't believe any of it because he doesn't believe anything of the illusion. He only believes what is true because he knows what is truth is truth. The rest is just made up. And if we choose to play made up, we're going to reap the effects of the belief in made up. But we can't, he's suggesting we can no longer blame it on anything outside of ourselves, because if we've chosen that, we will reap the effects of that choice. So the problem isn't the something out there. The problem is, which part of my mind am I looking at the whatever's out there? You still cannot will against him, and that is why you have no control over the world you made. So our true will is still our true will and will remain our true will. We can play in the thought system of the separated state all we want, and it will always be chaotic, insane, and as it says, we'll have no control over the world. And we all know we've had experiences of controlling the world and making it a little bit better or more palatable in one way in our life, but then it comes sneaking in another way that takes our peace away. So even though it appears we have some control, in truth, we don't have control, because when you choose the thought system of chaos, it can't bring anything but babies of chaos. And it definitely doesn't bring babies of peace. It's only when you choose for the connection of love and oneness that the concept of peace will have a chance to express itself. All right, so it is not a world of will because it is governed by the desire to be unlike God. Well, that's a pretty profound statement. But if you recognize, which I say over and over and over, these two thought systems are mutually exclusive and nowhere do they touch at all or ever will touch. And I know Ken used to say, when Jesus lived, 2,500 or 2,025, whatever, many years ago, that people took his story and then started to draw a line, erase part of this line to make it appear so that they would fit in with each other. And he also said that the same thing will be done with the Course, because egos are not ready for the intensity of one or the other to such a degree.
Trying to unify something that was impossible.
Exactly, yeah. And it's not even like egos were trying to do it to be, bad or, maybe even manipulatively, but it's because of their fear of the oneness that allowed that to occur. So it's not a judgment on our forefathers or other religions and spiritualities. It's simply what happens to a mind that is very confused, I guess you could say.
It
All right.
wants both things.
But there you go.
That wants the physical, wants to unify the physical and the spiritual.
Exactly. And, it sounds like a good idea. We'll pull that off. And God says, yeah, go for it. And call me later whenever you've given up on that party, because that party is never going to work.
Also, how you play nice with everybody else in the room or everybody else in the world.
Exactly.
They aren't even there.
Right.
So that's how we can't do that, actually. We might think we are, we'll be
Yes.
popular with some and not so popular
Correct.
with others, so
Correct.
we can't do it, but somehow that seems like there's so much to look at that we have to make it all come together for us.
Mhm. And that kind of reminds me of the story of a little old lady that baked cookies on the street, and everybody came running to get her cookies until somebody new moved in the neighborhood that made better cookies. And all of a sudden, that loving little Grammy wasn't so happy anymore. You know, when we can pull it off and it looks like it's working, yay. But when we realize I'm in competition with that other person, we're right back to duality. And duality can never win. Because in duality, there's two, and it's always one against the other. It is only in oneness where there's nothing else to compare to. The game is done, we're over. And if there's still a competition going on, you know you're in the dualistic state. All right, so line 5, it is not a world of will because it is governed by the desire to be unlike God. And this desire is not will. That's not God's will. God's will is oneness. But the understanding of this idea, it's the desire to be unlike God. Is that what we want to sit with? Does that feel good? I don't think so. And yet, if we were at one with God here and we made a choice to be something different than what we were given to be who we are, we decided to be unlike God, and we literally became unlike what we are as well. We left our will back here, and we have a different choice for a will that is in opposition to God, or as this says, unlike God. And in some places, it even goes so far as to say anti-God or antichrist, which a lot of people don't like how to sit with that one very well, which is understandable. But as we begin to understand more and more and deeper in the course, if I'm not choosing with God, I am choosing against God. It's kind of becomes a no-brainer. And if I have trouble digesting that, it's my issue. It's not the process's issue. The world you made is therefore totally chaotic and governed by arbitrary and senseless laws and without meaning of any kind. Now, Jesus always kind of like puts us in our place, doesn't he? The world you made is therefore totally chaotic. And like, look at your life on a daily basis of how frequently we're playing in chaos. It's pretty much all the time, or certainly a lot of the time. And maybe not as much now that we're practicing the course, but certainly was when we began. Governed by arbitrary and senseless laws. And I mean, like, look at the laws. And I know I shared this story a long time ago where Shirley MacLaine was in a foreign country, and she was in a boat, and a child in the boat in front of her leaned over and fell in the water. And in that culture, to interfere with somebody's death is karmic. So they don't believe that you should save them. Well, I remember reading that story, and it was like I was hyperventilating, because in our society, of course you would save them. You would, you risk your life to save them. And then I stepped back and I thought, oh my gosh, well, who's right? And in the world of duality, it's always going to be this conflicting experience, and both sides are going to feel very correct about their attachment to what they're doing. But the question is, in the illusion, neither of them are right and both of them are right. But it's only when we rise above the battleground, when we realize conflict is always going to bring an opposite. And if I want to align with oneness, I have to drop the connection at that instant to the crazy. And it's crazy out there. And we have very seeming legitimate reasons for holding on tightly to our belief system. But if I'm holding on to the dualistic thought system, I have left the hand of oneness with Jesus, and I have chosen for the other. And Ken used to say, you only have one hand. It's either in duality, shaking hands with that, or you're holding the hand of Jesus. And again, we're the ones that have that ability, and nobody else. All right. For it is made out of what you do not want. And he's telling us, hopefully now we don't want this any longer. Originally, when we made that choice, we thought we wanted that. But hopefully now we're coming to a point where I don't want that anymore. So it was made out of what you do not want, projected from your mind because you are afraid of it. So when we're being asked to look at it and recognize, of course, this is what comes when you choose for the ego. And I don't have to choose that any longer. That doesn't have to be my desire. It was at the moment when we chose originally, because we thought we were going to get a better deal. I mean, I get to be God. I can sit on the throne. Woohoo, isn't that great? And the ironic thing, oops, fell off. The ironic thing, yeah, right to the bottom, right? When we eventually start choosing for the Holy Spirit, it's so cool because I don't have to be God anymore. I don't have to be in charge. It's so freeing. But until that happens, I'll play God. And, kind of with your comment with your son, he should get a job. He should go this direction because I know. Well, do I know? And the answer is not usually. And it's not even that you have to let go of thinking it's that you have to be willing that if there is another possibility, I'm open to that other possibility. Because I can't erase everything that I'm invested in. But am I willing in this instant for another possibility?
And really, those things only come at you one at a time. So I find myself not so much wrestling with things in my mind from the past as having them, like they come up in the queue and I go, okay,
Oh,
so,
yeah.
okay, so this one, okay, Jesus, it's this one. And I feel a lot of comfort about knowing that I can't do it. And I get all this comfort from if I just sit here and don't do anything and ask. I'm bound to feel, I always feel better. I don't like to think that I have my head in the sand, that, things are going to be, that Jesus is
That
gonna
magically, you're right.
It's just that somehow it's like a relief, it's a release valve of, I don't know.
I don't know.
And then I feel a lot more, like I feel a lot more consolidated energy around me in terms of how, of that it's going to be okay. And it doesn't even matter then what happens necessarily.
Right. And I also believe that as we do this more and more frequently, you'll get to see the reflections of that love instead of the projection of guilt, sin, and fear. And you'll automatically begin to trust it more or be willing to allow another possibility to come forth. So it kind of worked together, which is quite nice.
It seems like when you give up your thoughts that you're giving up on yourself. And I guess there is a space of,
yeah,
I don't know, but then that's that timeline thing with the time. You're not anticipating, you're just letting it be what it is. You've given up on it in your mind. You give up your mind on this issue that has come up.
See, for me, it's like I'm learning that's just trying to give up, trying to control other people.
Yes.
But realizing giving that control, for me, what's the saying, like, let go, let God. Just letting go of trying to control or change other people. But it's really helped me develop just a faith in God. And like what you said, it's just trying it when those problems are endless. They just keep coming.
Absolutely. Yes.
But just like, okay, this time I'm going to try something different, like you said, and I'm not going to interfere with whatever. I'm not going to try to give my opinion and just see what happens and let God handle it. And it's just like, wow, that came out differently than I thought, that it was amazing.
Yes.
And that's a miracle to me. I started to see miracles.
Right.
And absolutely, because you still in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, I guess I'll give up, but so nothing's going to happen then, so you think you gave up control, but actually you're still thinking about it. And that's where all the control is, in your mind.
Yeah. And I think along with what you were saying, when you get out of the way and the circumstance turns out better than it would have in any calculation that you would have had, you go, hey, it's a pretty good deal here. I think I'll do that a few more times here.
Yeah, you try it once and then like,
Right.
that did work. And
Right.
you try it again. And
I like to think of it as like lately what's been, comes in my mind is the idea of a optical illusion. Instead of seeing myself as, you know, the
So
center of
solid, right.
control, I just see this giant, you know, everything is one field. And if I'm stuck, I have to think of the way where I'm not stuck, you know, where I can make the thing just flow.
Yeah.
And not create resistance, but go with what's demanded
Yeah.
of this entire tableau and not just me.
Yep. Yep. And even when you get caught or stuck in the what insanity, you know, it's simply asking us step back. You know, yes, you fell in, get out. You know, don't beat yourself up because you fell in. Step back. And you know, or not workbook, but chapter 30, which we read not too long ago, says start your day with your choice for peace. And then if you falter, bring it back. Falter again, bring it back. Falter again, bring it back. Don't be hard on yourself. Just bring yourself back.
Someone was telling me that this week, like, the planet Uranus went retrograde and there's like
Yep.
all these eclipses going on.
Yep.
So everybody's just in a heightened state and getting attached to things that
Mhm.
maybe you wouldn't normally.
Right,
you would
right.
attach to. And so
Yep.
give yourself that grace, like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
everybody,
Yep.
turbulent time.
Exactly. And if we look at ourselves as a baby learning how to walk, and I think of it, if we parallel our journey in the course as an adult with our journey as a child learning how to walk, that child thought, okay, I want to walk over to that chair because all these big people can do that. And it took many attempts in a variety of different ways, you know, falling and getting up and falling and getting up. If we'd have taken out a hammer and beat ourselves bloody every time we did that, which is kind of what we do as adults because we know better, we wouldn't get very far. Instead of, oh, I fell down, my knee is bleeding and I think I'll cry for a little while and then eventually I'll get back up. But each time I'm literally developing the muscles to help me get across the room. So it's really not bad or wrong. It's just that I'm not at that place yet. Alrighty, and again, this whole idea of arbitrary and senseless laws that we've accepted as our reality, and there's a workbook lesson that talks about the laws of the world that we take as such solid, you know, experiences in the world, and he says none of them are real. Not in the real world, in your world they might be, but not in truth. All right, for it is made out of what you, and I like this, for it is made, the chaotic world is made out of what you do not want. And when we become aware that I don't want chaos anymore, I don't want guilt, sin, and fear any longer. And that workbook 23, where it says, begin by recognizing what I see is what I wanted. It's what I ordered when I chose for the separation. But as I begin to become aware that what I chose isn't really to my benefit anymore, then I can make another choice of what I want now, as God keeps reminding us the value of changing our mind. All right. So it was made out of what you do not want, projected from your mind because you are afraid of it. When we had the moment where we separated, the answer was given us immediately, and we looked at the answer and had already projected our guilt, sin, and fear on God, so that didn't look like a very good answer. So we solved the problem by projecting out into the world all my guilt, sin, and fear so I could pretend that I was a sweet little innocent victim. Only that's not working too well because everywhere I turn, I get to see myself that I don't realize is myself projected into all the faces of everyone that I meet. And then I blame them for all those many lifetimes probably and got nowhere because the problem was not solved. The problem was, what do I carry in my mind? And if it's not the love of God, then it is the separated state. Yet this world is only in the mind of its maker along with his real salvation. So what this is saying is we see the world as we see it because it is in my mind. And we all talk about the idea of this is a projector. We know if you have a light with the projector, you put a piece of film, it's going to project onto the screen what that film is. Well, we didn't realize the film of the ego was going to be guilt, sin, and fear, separation, and you name it. So the problem isn't go to the screen and chop it all up, because how dare that screen do what it's doing? We go back to this film, take the film out, and then the light will automatically shine through, because the problem isn't what's on the screen. It just appears very much like it is.
So we have the tiny mad idea and we want to take it seriously.
We
So
have
say,
taken it.
God, I got this guy.
And you got
And
it.
then I spend my life on the gerbil wheel, repeat, repeat, repeat.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm upset because of what you did, not because of me. Yeah. And that's such a trap, such a trap, such a trap. And then to get all the senses and the emotions and the feelings of the body to confirm that all of this is happening to me is, talk about a well set up plan of not being able to get out of very easy. Of course, we're the ones who set it up, so we can't
Yes,
blame anybody
yes.
on that either. Yeah, but boy, we're sharp. We are sharp. And I'm going to read that again. Yet this world is only in the mind of its maker, along with his real salvation, because this is the thought of the mind. Both of these are in the mind. This is the one we plugged in. So this is the one we've been given. So what do I need to do? There's only one plug. I have to unplug this and plug it into this if that's what I want. But it's there. Do not believe it is outside yourself, for only by recognizing where it is will you gain control over it. And again, when we project it into the world, we forgot that we did it, and all we knew for eons of time was I'm an innocent victim of circumstances beyond your control. And I've got to wait till you do something different so that I could be okay. What a setup. I mean, the fact that we are peeking, under this curtain and realizing this was a choice that was made that has brought this, and there is another choice, is like totally monumental, guys. Even if I can't do it on a regular basis all the time, the fact that that awareness is now brought to our, to the surface for us is just monumental. Do not believe it is outside yourself, for only by recognizing where it is will you gain control over it. And this is the undoing, is to become aware. I set this up. I don't like the choice. It's time for me to choose again. And fortunately, as the Course says, we could do nothing to destroy this, because boy, if we could have, we probably would have. We covered it over with a very, very thick cloud that isn't too pretty, but it will never affect what it is. Just like the sun is shining and we put, clouds cover it and it can look really dark in the daytime, but we know the sun is still shining there. For you do have control over your mind, since the mind is the mechanism of decision. And as you see this little dot here, this little DM, it's not Deutschmark, it is decision maker. I had a gal who was German and asked about that. So this decision maker has always automatically chosen this, because when we originally did this, we made that choice, and then we made the pact that we would never, ever, ever choose against that. So that's pretty solid in there. Jesus comes along and tells us the answer is here. You can choose it whenever you want it. But think of it as this is a pointer on a game board. It's either pointing there or it's pointing there. So if it's pointing here, then that's a choice that I can make another choice when I'm ready.
Stop the line and spin again.
You can spin again. There you go. I like that. All right. So we're going to move to text 228, paragraph 5. So it's only a couple more pages from there. All right, when you have seen this real world, and this is describing the real world versus the world that we made up. When you have seen this real world as you will surely do, you will remember us. Yet you must learn the cost of sleeping and refuse to pay it. Only then will you decide to awaken, and then the real world will spring to your sight, for Christ has never slept. He is waiting to be seen, for he has never lost sight of you. He looks quietly on the real world, which he would share with you because he knows of the Father's love for him. Short but sweet. All right, so when you have seen this real world, and he says in the next line, he promises this will happen, which you will surely do, you will remember us. So you remember who we really are, not just me, but everybody else. And that's why the Course talks about Jesus got it. And when he got it, he saw everybody else healed because he was now looking through the lens of healed and he sees everything the same way as he is. Now, we obviously haven't caught up to that yet, but that part's up to us. Yet you must learn the cost of sleeping and refuse to pay it. And what is the cost of sleeping? Suffering, guilt, sin, and fear, anxiety, terror, kill or be killed. And he offers peace and love. And we balk at it. And I realize, it's just like if somebody wants to quit smoking and they have all the intent in the world if they're addicted to cigarette smoking and they're hacking away, it's a lot harder than it appears, but it's really that easy. Just stop. And, the whole world is not in support of us yet, only because we have chosen the opposite. And it's going to come and deliver to my front door all that I have ordered. And what have I ordered? The reflection or the projection of guilt, sin, and fear. So each time it comes to the door, am I going to respond from love or am I going to respond from kill or be killed? And that's across the board, no matter what's happening, no matter how big or small. Do I choose for love now? I have this little barometer thing here, guilt, sin, and fear down here, peace is up here. Is my focal point always, I want peace above absolutely everything else? Not being right, not being this, not being that. Do I want peace more than anything else? And when that becomes my pointer, no matter what happens, no matter what anybody does to me, no matter what the weather looks like, no matter what the storms come up, I want peace in the midst of whatever happens. And we each are the barometer of our own lives, how we're doing with that. And again, Jesus, God are not judging us if we falter. They just, I'm here. I'm here.
And you're not going to choose peace because you don't really know what it is until you experience it. And it's an action of.
Right. Right. But I think most of us know what misery looks like.
Right. But the misery goes to a certain point and then how, what is next? What else is there? Maybe, I guess.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to read that again. Yet you must learn the cost of sleeping and refuse to pay. So again, that's a keeper.
Refuse to pay, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Which ultimately means I can no longer be an innocent victim of circumstances beyond my control. And again, who wants to go there? It sounds good. I want the peace part. Bring it on. But am I at a place where I really want peace and absolute
And gratefully, in order to refuse it, I only need a little willingness.
Yes, ma'am.
Because when we hear the word refuse, it sounds like oh, that's hard and it's 100% and I have to toe the line and keep it in place and guard it. But no, you refuse it moment to moment with just a little willingness.
And I
And
don't.
then you keep
Right.
popping through to the grace.
Yep.
But then I go, I don't want to have to do that. Like you said, I don't want to have to be responsible. I just want to, I read the book, I chose it. Now when I wake up in the morning, I should just already be there and feel fine.
Amen. Amen. I want the fairy godmother of you're done to pop in the room. Instead, all of it gets dumped in your lap and says, well, how you doing here? How you doing?
But guess what? You only have to do it moment to moment, moment to moment. That's all. You can do it moment to moment. But time sucks us in, right? And then we think,
A lot of
how
things.
long has it been? How long is it going to be? What's going to happen next? We don't stay in that moment to moment to moment to moment. That's all.
Yep. All right. It's kind of getting late, so I think we'll come back to that paragraph next week and we'll close the class. So everybody take a nice big deep breath and let it all go. Forgive us our illusions, Father, and help us to accept our true relationship with you, in which there are no illusions and where none can ever enter. Our holiness is yours. What can there need in us that needs forgiveness when yours is perfect? The sleep of forgetfulness is only the unwillingness to remember your forgiveness and your love. Let us not wander into temptation, for the temptation of the Son of God is not your will. And let us receive only what you have given and accept with this into the minds that you've created and which you love. Amen.
Love you all.
Next time, guys, have a great one.
Bye.